It's on, guys. Season 9. I have been trying to wrap my brain around how I even start. There's so much to get through, right? But I'm seriously not going to start ripping into people. There are a lot of people who probably expect me to just like go out here and slay people, and I'm just not going to do it, okay? So if you have joined here to see me rip Tony to shreds or attack anybody, I'm not going to do it, okay? There are some people who are going to get slammed. In the media, they're going to be slammed by the public, the general public, the fans. If you're new here, I have always tried to bring sort of an understanding of what might be happening as a person is on the beach. What it feels like to be there, to be sleep deprived, to be in the most foreign situation a person can find themselves in, right? So you don't have anything that makes you who you are in real life. You don't have your fashion, you don't have your makeup, you don't have your hair, you don't have your money, you don't have your job, you don't have your loved ones, whatever it might be, right? So you are out there very vulnerable. You're vulnerable to the environment, you're vulnerable to the people, you're vulnerable to the game, you're vulnerable to what's happening up here. And this is one of the biggest things that can let you down and that really can sidetrack what it is that's happening on the day to day. If you give up here, you'll quit the game. I guarantee you. Sometimes your body gives up, but sometimes you'll be able to overcome that by doing this. So it's a very tough game to be in. The thing that for me is so interesting this season is that you're playing against people that we know. Whether it's you and I watching from home and having already seen these people on the show. And you are familiar with them, you're familiar with the game that they played, and also the mistakes that they made, right? Because let's be honest, none of them have won Survivor, so they were with fault. Some of them had fault dealt to them in the game, and some of them had mistakes and blunders that they were responsible for. And one of the things I really wanted to address before we start this thing, before we look at even episodes or tribes or anything, I want to talk about right now, and if you ever want to be on Survivor, listen carefully. It's not easy. You are responsible for every single decision that you make, from the time you decide to enter to the time that you go home dirty and 20 kilos lighter. Every decision, nobody is holding a gun to your head, right? You make a decision at every turn. Who to trust, when to eat, when to try and go and wash yourself, what to do in a challenge. Who are you going to talk to? Who are you going to align with? What are you going to say now? Some of those things are inherent. These are day-to-day choices that you and I make at home. And some of them are very foreign. And either way, you have to take responsibility for the decisions that you make. Because at the end of the day, when LaRue and the team of casting at Afrikaans and Mnet sit down, they cast human beings, not human beings that have signed up for a reality show that's been scripted. These are human beings from all walks of life. They are gay, they are religious, they are straight, they are married, they are single, they are asexual, they are, you name it. Those are the type of people they want to put on screen because they want to represent the people watching at home, which represents all kinds of people. Black, white, you name it, colored, your race, your religion, your sexuality, your job, your income, people with lots of money, people with less money, whatever it might be, you name it, they're in there. People with mental health issues, people with conditions, people with anxiety, people with past trauma, people, because why? Those people are interesting. And what is more interesting, and what you also need to remember, as you get cast, you are cast against somebody else. What makes me interesting on a beach is not to be surrounded by people who think the same way as I do, and who operate the same way as I do, who work in radio or media. Why was it interesting with our season? Because they put really interesting people on a beach together and let it unfold. Bam! Okay, in my casting process, I can tell you the moment. They decided who to put me with. When they asked me how I felt about religion, and my answer was, I don't have a problem with religion. I have a problem with churches. And who do I land up on a beach with? A pastor and Martinez and a lot of people praying before we do anything. Myself and Tevin were kind of like, it's not to say I'm not religious. I just don't like things being forced upon people, right? So you know that when you step onto a beach, at some point they've decided to put somebody there that is going to push your buttons. That is why we enjoy the show, because we see people like Pinty and Tanya clashing, because they are both strong-willed, outspoken, they believe in what they believe. One of the other things is that they put people on with different morals and opinions. And unfortunately, right and wrong, take this to the bank, is subjective. What you think is right and what I think is right is subjective. That is going to be a problem when you play in the gray, in the black and the white. Survivors played in the gray area, okay? You play within the rules of humanity and you play within the rules of the game. And that is a very fluid place to be, because what is right in the real world, lying, making plans and then flipping on them the next minute, aligning with people you don't like, making plans to vote out people who are too strong in your team. It goes against a lot of things that in your normal life make sense. And then there are things that happen in the game that represent the society at home. And that right and wrong is very fluid. You cannot attack somebody for something that they think is right and you think is wrong. It's a very difficult place to be. However, that said, I like it when people stand up for what they believe is right, for what they believe is wrong. I don't mind you doing, but you can't attack somebody for not following the same thought patterns that you have, right? It's a very difficult place to be. You have to be aware of how people perceive you. One of the things I wanted to touch on before we even get started is how this game, I don't know if there are children on here, but how it can screw you up. There was a moment, one of my favorite moments so far, and we're only 4 episodes in, is the moment where Sheamus and Tevin are chatting about, they're just gathering firewood, and he says, nice to see you back, and he says, you know, you had a rough time last time, and he said, dude, this game, I think he even said, fuck me up. Now, Sheamus went home first in our season. He was one of the people I was really disappointed who went home, because he was such a character. I didn't realize this afterwards when we chatted. And he was a big character, and he had an idea of the way the game should be played, which I would have found interesting on the show. And he said that it completely screwed him up. And what he means by that is that mentally he went on a roller coaster. You don't get an opportunity to play Survivor just in jest. Somebody goes, hey, you on the street, you in the Kia Picanto, do you want to play Survivor? There are very few people who ever get this opportunity to play. And when you are a super fan like Sheamus and you walk onto the beach and you play too hard, which is something you've seen many seasons happening and somebody goes home, it's a blunder, it's a mistake that you've made. Now, if you're self-aware enough when you watch that on TV, even while you're in the game and you make a mistake, you have to be aware of it and be able to do something with it. You have to be able to own it and be like, damn it. Like Sheamus, I made a mistake and I landed myself being voted out. That is an ownership of a decision. And every single day you are making decisions. And sometimes they are all good and you land up cruising and you land up not offending anybody and you land up every decision unfolding and you seem to ride the wave. Cool. You have to be okay with those decisions. Whether you called somebody in a joke, as I did many times, you said something that was sarcastic, and when you watched it on TV, it's like, not ideal. And those decisions I have to own as my own person, saying, I don't know if I'll ever say that again. Will I stop being funny? Absolutely not. Will I stop being the class clown? Absolutely not. That's who I am. One of the reasons I get so irritated watching this season at the moment is because there's a lot of entitlement by some players coming in. If I had to put money on a player right now who I think would win this Survivor, it is one of the 3 players from the seasons before mine, before Marion's actually, so season 5. Nobody's looking at these people because they underestimate them and they're kind of looking down their nose at them. They're entitled to it because we were part of the new franchise. It's weird. It is so weird. It is decisions that you make that will lead you to having an easier ride. No, not the decisions. The decisions might land you up, but how you accept those decisions and whether you can be self-aware enough to understand that your decision led you to where you are in life and in the game. So if you go home in Survivor and you voted out 6 people before that, and then you get voted out, you cannot be upset at the process that the game follows. You cannot hold a grudge against the human being that voted you out. You can be disappointed. You can be angry. You can be annoyed. You can be all these things. But at some point you have to recognize that the game was played and you were outplayed. You cannot then sit back and say, how dare you vote me out? I can't believe you vote me out. Do you know what this game is? This game is a series of votes where you have to vote other people out the game so that you can get to where you need to be. Either you do it before they vote you out or you get voted out. It's a very difficult thing to do, but if you are self-aware enough, you can look at it and go, I'm angry, I'm irritated, I can't believe I trusted the wrong people. Listen to my words. I can't believe I trusted the wrong people. It got me voted out. At some point you have to look and say, well done, Hildegard, for voting me out. The game is played. I don't like you anymore. We'll never be friends, but well played. If you look at somebody like Jacques, who got voted out on this opportunity to play this mind-blowing game, he was like bitterly disappointed, but he got up and he said, well played, guys. You got me out. You did it. Your decisions have to be owned and how you respond to them. I cannot emphasize it enough. I'm watching so many people go in there thinking that they made no mistakes in their season of Survivor. Really? You know they didn't even cast people from the final tribal council. So deep down, they've cast people who have made mistakes. Am I wrong? No. This season is called Outcasts. So that's who we have on this season of Survivor. We have Dino, who got overwhelmed by paranoia and made mistakes, and he unfortunately landed up going home too soon before merge. Had dreams dashed. He's a huge Survivor player. He has puzzle businesses. That's his life, right? He got his dreams dashed by decisions that he made, and that got him voted out, unfortunately. There he is. He is on the Yontu tribe, the pre-merge tribe. We've got Felix, who was one of those characters who rubbed people up the wrong way, man. He was brash. He was out there fighting. I'm pretty sure he was one of the people who was a victim of food scandal. How many times have I said stay away from food politics? Felix was one of those. Then we got Philip, who at the moment seems to be probably my favorite person on the island. He, maybe it's because I kind of relate to him. He seems to be a jokester. He's got super high EQ. Yeah, see LaRue's here, the boss is here. Guys, just by the way, if the actual contestants, the castaways, are on the chat, and they're not supposed to be chatting and giving away stuff, and let's just be kind with any comments that we try and get through today. Then we've got, sorry, I was saying Philip for me is, he's the guy that I most relate to. He's the quick wit. He is quick with a comment. He is somebody who, in that moment when Sheamus was talking about being at the outpost, and they decide they want to kind of send Tanya, the weakest player, and he just says it without, I don't think he meant as the weakest player on their tribe according to them, and Philip just went, according to them, it's the weakest player. You could see he was uncomfortable in that moment, and he wanted to step in and make things okay. So I relate to that a lot. Make a joke, make things okay. You've got Sheamus, who at this point is probably my favorite. I just want to hug him. I know he had such a rough ride after Survivor, and it had nothing to do with the media. It had nothing to do with anybody else's journey. It was like the most visual way to see somebody's dreams being dashed. And so I have such a soft spot for Sheamus. And one of the things I appreciate from Sheamus is he's looked at his mistakes and he changed. Not too much, but he knew that he had done wrong in the first season that he played. And now he has to go back and do things differently. He doesn't have to be a different person. It's very difficult to be a different person on this show. But he's learned from the things that he did wrong, and he's adjusting. He wants to become somebody at camp who they rely on. He wants to be somebody who's forming relationship, who cares about people. I do see him kind of like, whoa, drama, I'm going to stay over here. Like, I don't want to get into it. So I really do have a soft spot for Sheamus. We've got Dr. Tevin in the house again. He's a mastermind. He is has a way of looking at people. I want to say he used to be the most strategic guy on the beach, but that's not the case anymore. I think he's a busy guy. He probably doesn't consume as much Survivor as somebody like, for example, Dino. So yes, he is smart, and he is strategic, and he understands human. He understands the way the brain works and psychology and all these different things. So he is dangerous. I don't know whether people trust him off the bat. So he might have that to play with. He's a funny guy, very charming. So we're going to have to see how Dr. Tevin does. That's the men. In the women, we've got Kilani, who I've said it out loud, is one to watch because nobody's watching her. And I think it's a case of we think we're better. Like the newer season, like we changed the game, and so you like got to respect us a little bit, and we got everybody viewing. But there was a whole generation of Survivor South Africa players before us, before season 5 and season 6 and season 7. There were 5 seasons, right? And so I think that the players from these seasons are going to be the ones to watch because they're going to be underestimated. We don't know too much about them. They're not on Instagram lives like a lot of us do. They don't have podcasts. So I think those players are going to be ones to watch. So Kalani, and she's fit. She is a sportswoman. She went out quite brutally in her season as well. So she's here to make a comeback. She's older. She's wiser. The senior citizens, listen, Marius, I actually, the other day, somebody said, oh, that's the youngest player. This season's cast is older. There isn't like this young cohort of castaways on the beach. So there is a lot of maturity. There's lots of life lived experience that can help you, or it can hinder you. Then we've got Shona, who is one of the most, she's like a ray of sunshine, like a sunflower. She just is out here laughing. You'll hear her down the beach laughing. She talks to everybody. She's got the most delightful way about her. So, and she played a game and she knew that she made mistakes, and she's there to right those mistakes. And I'm going to get to it, but her arts and crafts skills, we need to talk about this because it's a thing. Then we've got Tanya, who again for me was one of those people in the first episode that walked on and said, I made these mistakes the last time I was here, and I'm not going to make them again. And then she made them all in the first 10 minutes. And what I loved about it was not that she didn't make the mistakes. What I loved about it was that self-awareness that I spoke about, for her to go, oh my gosh, she's back. Guess who's back? And to own it and to be like, I should probably not do this anymore. It's learning the lessons that you made in the first time round, and how do you change it in the next time round? Is it personality traits? Those are difficult to change, or are they part of that decision making in the season? And so that I really enjoyed from Tanya on her first moments on the beach. And then Teresa, who I don't think a lot of people doubt, but she is one of my favorite players. And people ask me why, and I don't know what it is. She has, if you ever sit in a room and across the table from Teresa, the way that she speaks, she has a very refreshing view on the world. And I don't know if it's one of those things where our values and morals align, but I really just enjoy talking to her, but I also enjoy listening to her and her stories and her lived experience. She's got a very interesting story about what she does and where she lives and the school that she works for. So fantastic character. She made mistakes. Immediately she knew. When she walked off that beach, she was like, in fact, she knew as soon as she got there, I've already made mistakes in her first season. And she walked into this game with a completely different mindset. Those mistakes that I made, I'm not going to make them. I came across as cold. I came across as calculated. And what happened was, you sit across from people who are so different to you, and all of a sudden you're like, is this? Who are these people? How do they think like that? And that completely threw her. And so this time she's going to park her pride. She's going to engage with anybody. She's going to become and try and set up a lot of different relationships. And so I'm excited to see what happens with Teresa. And I think that she's got a few really strong characters around her that, if she is working together with a bunch of people, will be able to take that survivor brain that she has. She's a mega fan, guys, mega fan. And to take that knowledge that she has stored in that vault and share it with people and come up with strategic plans to take her and her game forward. And then on the Masu tribe, these are people who made the merge and who didn't get far enough, and they've got an axe to grind. They've got unsaid stuff. They've got unplayed stuff, and so I actually don't know. I wondered to myself often if it's harder on you to go home early or to go home deep into the game. The closer you get to that finish line, like, I don't know which is more difficult. Rabbit, I'm talking. Thank you. Of course she's here. So I don't know what is more difficult. I think it depends on the human. So somebody like who went home, Sheamus, who went home, his journey after the show was very difficult. And maybe had he gone further in, it might not have been that bad, because I think he just wanted to play. So some of the people in the merge got to play, but they would have fumbled along the way. So we got the men. Chappies obviously came straight out of Survivor into another one. I don't know whether that would have been a great idea. And as we saw in the first vote, it didn't pan out too well. But I do want to bring this to the table, that Chappies was never... I see you. Why are you shouting from upstairs? It's rude. The people are here. Huh? Chappies has never been, I know you're going to jump on this table. Chappies has never been a strategic Survivor player. He is a physical player. And I also don't know how much social game he has to play. That's not to say that he's not a nice guy. Chappies is a wonderful guy. I don't know whether he can read a lot of what's happening around him. And so I think the reason he went deep into the game last time was that he surrounded himself with people who understood the game of Survivor as well as social players. And so he got himself into really, really solid alliances that took him forward, and he managed to missed things, and then he started to win as he got to merge. So Chappies, for me, he goes in, I want to be the best at the games and the challenges and stuff, and he is out here causing mayhem, and people know your game now. So if you're going to be hunting for idols in the middle of the night or stealing food, they've called you already. So he was always going to struggle. Guys, I'm going to get to these comments a little bit. I see them streaming in there. And then on the men, in the Masu tribe, Dante is also one of my favorites. I have, since he played, said that Dante had one of the best reads on his season. He did not have the social capital to go in and get people to do what he needed to do. He was not an influencer. He did not have influence. And that, I think, another person who I really appreciate, watching him walk onto the beach, knowing that he made mistakes in his first season, and he was immediately ready to not make the same mistakes again. And so he went out and he started to make relationships, real connections with people. You have to understand that Dante is a superior introvert. He does well in nature. He likes to sit on the beach solo and go for a brine, a surf, and a fish and what have you. He is a massive introvert. So talking and doing small talk for Dante is torture. And so he knows that these are things that he has to do during his game to get further in the game, because he's learned from his mistakes made outside or in his first season. So I'm really loving Dante. And if you look at it, has so much power at the moment. And a lot of times having so much power will put a target on your back, but he's doing it collaboratively. So he really, really, of course, Meryl in his Speedo, great looking Speedo. We all love Dante. I actually really love Dante without the hair. I think it's less of a distraction almost, but then he's got like the cheekbones and then the other, he's beautiful. Anyway, and then we've got Shane. I met Shane for the first time the other night. He is a bomb with a long fuse, which he's lit himself. And he can put it out and he can relight it at any time. Shane is... he is flames, brother, and he comes out hard. He reminds me a lot of Tom in his like He-Man. He's huge, he's big, he's lived many lives, he's got a story to tell. He is he's so confident in himself, in his approach to the world. He's going to be interesting. And he had the call on Dante, right? So what I notice about Shane is that Shane goes with his gut. He will read the room, the language, the body language, the eye rolls, the walking around. When I turn like that, it looked like I had a mullet for a minute there. I was very scared. Shane goes with his gut. He is presented information and he goes with it. His big upside is that he's got Marion there, and Marion is one of the best Survivor brains you find on this season. So he has got a lot going for him, and the two of them worked really well in their season, and they gel well together. And you can see sometimes Marion's like, Shane, you're putting your foot in it. and she manages to bring him along and bring him into votes. He was out on the first one, but now he's back in. So Shane is, I don't know whether Shane's going to win, but Shane will get far enough. Shane will win a couple of immunities. I think Shane is an asset to have on the tribe and on the team. So it's going to be wonderful to see him play again after so many years. And I think his life completely changed. I mean, his life, when he went on Survivor, had taken drastic turns, and he needed to go to Survivor to survive his real life. Like, he was on a really bad spot when he went into his first season of Survivor. And I think, again, he's sort of in that motion where he needs to be in this game and to take his mind away from reality. So I think in terms of like stories that is going to come out, Shane is going to have a lot to tell us. Just by the way, I'm also watching with you guys. I don't get to see the episodes as they happen. I am frightened of spoilers. So if anybody here says anything, I'm going to murder you. That's not an admission of guilt if somebody turns up dead, though. And then somebody who I said is somebody to watch is Tejan. Tejan, for me, is one of the players who is from the previous seasons who we all kind of forgot about. And we're like, do you even know what you're doing here? You're like 100. Shame. But that, I think, is going to work in all of their favors. They are just sitting there going, lol, 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 y'all are going to eat each other first, and then we're going to have some snacks later. And if those players who played so early on are not, having lights and shining glitter balls above their heads with big targets on them, if they can get together and pull off votes together, then they will have a lot of power in this game. So Tejan is another one that you need to watch. And he's physical. He seems super fit. He's got a brain on him. I think for Tejan, what he's lacking is almost the game is played on a number of levels, right? And so he's reading just a couple levels where so many players are like on 8 or 9. So he's getting upset with the tone and the language and stuff, but he doesn't understand what's bubbling under and where it's coming from and stuff like that. So I think Tejan has got to align himself with the right people to get those reads on what's happening in the room. Hey, Dave. Thanks, man. And those are the guys. Then we go to the Queen, and somebody who I think we can all agree, I'm so happy that she went back into this game, and that is Marion. Marion does not have anything easy, guys. She's got vitiligo, which is the condition that is her skin condition. And I remember that started, I had a long conversation with Marion right after our season when we first met. And I said to her, would you play again? Like, can you play again? Like, with your skin condition being in the sun, surely that's not a good plan. And she said, I will play again, and I will have all the protection that I need. And I was like, damn, girl, can we play together? Like, can we be friends, please? She is an absolute boss, but she has a glass heart. She suffers very, very heavily from depression and anxiety, if I'm not mistaken. And so being on this island, even watching herself in the game right now, is torture to her. She is really, really, really struggling with what is unfolding on the beach, right? So she also has just been somebody weaponized her skin condition and how people should feel sorry for her. And do you not think every single day that Marion deals with people feeling sorry for her? And so this full package that she's in right now with Meryl and Steffy, I think has the potential to be incredible TV, but also super supportive for her little glass heart. I have all of the time for Marion. I have all of the respect for Marion. And she, over a lot of these names that we've already read out, knows this game inside out. So we'll have to wait and see. Then we've got Meryl. Now, Meryl is a mom, and Meryl is just a delightful human. She is soft and cuddly. She's fit as a fiddle. She does the yoga. She does the Kalanetics and the other one with it's all of the Pilates and the flexing and the dancing and the acting and the singing. And she's like an episode of Glee. She's just lovely. And she also knows Survivor. She really has a good read on people. She has a lot of EQ. She really, really understands the need to connect with human beings on the level of their heart and their soul and their hopes and their dreams, right? She's a mom. She's like, and she wants to be that mom to everybody. So she's an incredible person to have around. And the sort of calm to Dante's chaos from his season. She was the one to be like, Dante, calm down. Dante, calm down. Dante, calm down. Woosah. Take a moment, do downward dog, live your life. So Meryl has got an incredible survivor brain. She also has an understanding of human beings, and she's fit. I think somebody was saying, do you think somebody like Chappie's gone deep into the game, you'd want to get him out before merge because he will just dominate in merge. I said, do you think Chappie's is gonna sit on a pole longer than Meryl? Not a chance, fam. Not a chance. Meryl is the person who is going to be able to woosah, center herself, and do those long challenges. That's my prediction. And then we've got the Queen Steffy. Steffy also lives her life in black and white. She knows what's right and she knows what's wrong. And if you're doing the wrong, she's going to call you out and not be a friend because she doesn't like people do the wrong thing. Steffy's a delightful human. She is super centered in her fitness, in who her body is, who her body can dominate, how far her body can be pushed. And what's interesting about her is she just had an injury. I am the opposite in terms of body of Steffi, but I do have one thing in common, and that's an injury. I don't know if that has any relevance on what you're talking about, but I feel like I'm the same as Steffi. I'm going to let it go now. Steffi was also, by the way, Miss Namibia, or Mrs. Namibia. She was a beauty queen, and obviously we know why. She's a rugby player, and she also can walk on water, as we saw in the second time around. Injured. Jokes. But I love that challenge where she got to be physical, and she was actually... it was just the confessionals around that challenge was incredible. And then we've got our friend Tony. I used the word friend loosely. I'm not going to rip into Tony, okay? There are a lot of people who are going to rip into Tony. Tony and I have history from our season. We didn't get on very well. Tony doesn't like a voice that's louder than her. And I like to be the funniest in the room. I don't necessarily need to be the loudest, but I do. We butt heads. I don't wish anything bad for Tony. We just will never be like chummies, like social mates, because we just are too different. I believe that Tony has come into the game thinking that she's really good at Survivor. And unfortunately, I think she walked into the game, and it's in her confessional. So this is my opinion on this stuff, right? She walked into the game with knowing that other people knew that she had relationships in the game, right? So she has matching tattoos. She's good friends with Tevin and Peek. They have relationships outside the game. They're good friends. Like they console each other. They play together. They're connected. As Marion said, how more connected can you be with matching tattoos unless you have rings on your finger? But what I found interesting is that she thought that the connections that she made during her game as well as outside of the game would be a benefit to her. And that just shows that you don't quite get how this game works, because it's dangerous. It's dangerous to go into the game with known connections. We've seen it throughout all of the Survivor that we watch, right? where people, if they are connected, they're going to get voted out because they know that no matter what, you've got somebody on merge, you've got somebody here. And no matter what you do to try and deny it, we can see by your behavior. And one of the things we used to tell Tony over and over again is if people see you with PK, they're going to assume that you are voting with PK. And Tevin said it brilliantly in one of his confessionals that perception is reality. I didn't understand that very well until I played Survivor, where I thought I knew what was happening, but that was my perception. And Dr. Harry, who's a mathematician, actually put in our Survivor group this week an image of a triangle and a circle, and how the shape that goes into those things both fit depending on what perspective you were looking at it. And I thought that was very interesting, because that is what this game is all about, the perception that you have and other people have of you. So everybody in the game is the perception that her and PK are together, and they pulled in Palessa as well because they're all on the same season, and that Tevin is with them as well. It's very difficult to smash that perception, because if you keep moving with them and you keep talking to them, that perception will just go deeper and deeper into the game. However, it's about her understanding of what those connections mean, and actually them being a massive disadvantage to her in the game. So unfortunately, Tony played that card hard and now is saying, but why you guys, I'm tired of hearing about how we connect to la 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 la. And it's just for me, an understanding or a lack thereof of really the benefits to having connections and the disadvantages of having connections in Survivor. We've only got about 10 minutes left, guys, so we'll get to the episodes in a minute. And then we've got Queen Palessa, who is a very lucky human with idols, and then also unlucky because she didn't play them correctly. But she is really, one of the things I don't think a lot of people appreciate is Palessa's actually really good at challenges. She's really fit, and I saw her on that first one with the water challenge, where she was like also keeping up with Steffy. So Palessa is a strong human. She has got a life. She's got a child at home. She is a single mom. You know, single moms are strong humans and individuals. She's put up with a lot of shit, and she doesn't take it. But what I'm finding interesting now is she's playing a really nice social game. Palessa, for me, in the first season, really didn't make friends with a lot of people. She was like, "What? I don't need to talk to you. I'm not," and really didn't nurture those relationships. And so I'm hoping that Palessa is somebody we're going to see using those relationships that she's made and take her deep into the game, right? So it's going to be very interesting. I don't know whether Palessa will be able to stand up to Marion, to Meryl, and to Steffy. That's just what I'm saying. I think she's on the bottom of that situation. Right, let me just go through some of these messages because I'm going to just quickly recap. I don't think we even need to talk about the episodes. I mean, there's so many people doing podcasts and stuff that it's going to be difficult. Somebody, Yaunt Trash. I'm not enjoying Tony this season. Loved her last season, but after using Marion's skin conditioner against her, I lost all respect. These are not my words, everybody. These are comments. Lots of love for Steffi Brink and Marion DeForce. That's Heal God for that special moment. Yeah, that moment of, I actually messaged Steffi directly on Instagram after that moment. I said, no matter what happens in this season, win or lose, Steffi will be remembered for that moment on the beach with Marion, where it was a human moment and she was comforting her. So, absolutely wonderful to see. Tajana and Palessa need to get off the sinking Tony ship before they go down like King PK. Absolutely. I think Palessa is really well positioned. She's likable, sociable, and not a merge threat to take out. Yep, 100%. Sorry, I'm just scrolling here. Why do I keep going back to that comment? I don't think we've seen a Meryl and Dante highlight in the 4 episodes, really. I think once, I think. Best description yet. Meryl is like an episode of Glee. 100% aligned with Meryl if I was out there. That is from P. Fielding 14. Marion's here. Guys, I don't know how Tony bounces back from this if they lose. I don't think, for me, I feel like Yantu is going to maybe lose maybe one or two. So Masu has a bit of momentum, and not going to. I think that taste of not going to tribal council is gonna egg them on a bit more. I think Yantu might want to go to tribal council a bit, also so that they don't go into any sort of merge. Well, maybe they don't want to do that, so they want to keep the numbers, whatever. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, Richard pointing out that Palessa did say in a preseason she wants to work on social bonds, and she's getting a good edit so far. And that's another thing I just want to address quickly, guys. In my preamble, I did mention that you are cast as a human being, but also you need to remember that it's a reality show. And I have seen lots of people talk about the edit. Dante was like, oh, the first episode, wow, the edit. But you're in a reality show and you sign up for it, and nobody ever complains when the edit suits them, when they look good, when they sound funny, when there's a lekker hero montage attached to it. So I think we must be conscious that it is a TV show, and that there's going to be parts that you don't like, and parts that you do, and it's how you roll with those punches that will set you apart from people. And if you can try not to let it get to you, and try as hard as you can to just enjoy the ride and stay off the comment section. That's what I say. Yeah, guys, I'm running out of time. That was a long preamble. I didn't want to get there, but there's so much Survivor to get through that these are going to be, I'm still going to stick to the hour time limit, which is up in a minute. So I will see you again Sunday. I will be more prepared to talk about the actual episodes that happen, because now that I've gone through all of the people on the show, how it's working, I'm really enjoying that Outpost Idol and the Outpost that they have. One of the things that I know that LaRue likes to do is present more moral dilemmas, more decisions to the contestants, because it keeps things interesting. So even if I'm not participating on the beach, at some point I'm going to be presented with a decision to make, and that makes my journey on Survivor a little bit more interesting on TV. So Laura, bring it up with management. Somebody's got to pay me for these things. An hour is enough. I'm not going to do this for 3 hours. There are many podcasts out there that will do that for you. The episodes are 40 minutes. I'm pretty sure we can get a recap in an hour. And listen, somebody just says, shown a fake idol. What on earth? What on earth? When I saw that, I was like, did she have knitting needles with her? Hiding it at Tribal Council, what an absolute genius move. I hope that it's going to be played correctly, but it's so great. I think it's going to be a firecracker. Whenever that happens, it's going to be an absolute firecracker, and hopefully she plays it for somebody and like tells them that it's there, and then plays it for somebody else, and they end up going home anyways. It's gonna be great, guys. Please just keep the meanness down. I tried not to get too involved. I'm probably gonna get some messages from people. I'm just sharing opinion, and I'm just sharing the back end to the show, and how through lots of therapy have learned that this game is made up of decisions, and how you learn from those decisions and how you bounce back from them, and how you can respect the players still in the game after you've left will show your true character. So thank you all for joining me. Taryn is there. Rabbit is here. I'm here. You have been here, guys. Thank you so much for joining me for this hour. I will chat to you again on Sunday, hopefully from a little bit of an improved studio setup. I'm working on something, but we'll see what happens. I love you all. Be safe this week, and we'll chat again on Sunday at 7. Bye.